Welcome back to part 2 of cycling across Europe. This is where I'm now starting to move across into Germany. So it's David Salmon from the cyclinggrandad.com, all about cycling tours throughout the world. Here we are continuing into Germany, and here we go with the sign. Pretty straightforward here. Now it's a nice straight road here. Now the big thing with regard to entering Germany is you've got to watch out for the next bit that's going to be you're going to be coming across, and that's going to be the Bavarian Alps. So make sure you're replenished and revived, ready to head into the Bavarian Alps. Obviously extremely hilly, but unbelievably scenic and great views. Here's just a few as I make my way through the hills and the mountains. You can't quite grasp how high you're going here and what the descents are. Always be looking out for these, the Bavarian pit stops, where you can get tea, coffee, snacks, etc., and lots of homemade ice cream. After the pit stop, massive ascent up into the mountains. Then, as we hit the summit, is then a straight descent into the town, looking for a nice comfortable bed and breakfast, and this is what I found. Just a little bit different. I expect you'll agree with regard to this colour scheme, but just look on the outside. Great architecture with regard to the bed and breakfast itself, and here's a little picture of the town. Absolutely beautiful town to walk around in the evening. Then it was now finding the source of the Danube. Where is that source of the Danube? Well, it's here, and here's a statue to commemorate part of that, and here is the spring, which is at the actual source of the Danube. So from the source of the Danube, it's along the Danube cycleway, through the various hills and the farms and the bridges, crossing the Danube, coming across old hunting lodges, which proved to be extremely valuable and refreshing pit stops. Used by lots and lots of cyclists, by the way. Just have a look at that little shrine on the right hand side, wishing all the cyclists along the Danube cycleway a safe journey. And then we come across this monastery, this Benedict monastery, along the cycleway, which is well worth a stop. Old castles along the way, and then I managed to find a good little campsite, so I was parked up for the night. Here's the bike, all in good order, ticking along extremely well, no punctures whatsoever. 2 panniers on the back, plus the tent and saddlebag. And after that night I just headed into the local town, and then ended up having a second breakfast in this in one of the street cafes just along this road here. This is a typical German house. Just look at that architecture and the timber framework. These were all over the place. And then most of the little towns had all these little architectures and fountains and stone cobble areas. Here we go, crisscrossing across the Danube again. This is one of the campsites. Look at that reflection in the pool there. Met some English people there as well. Now this is what the Germans do. Obviously they burn a lot of wood on wood stoves, etc. This is how they stack it all up. So as you go through towns outside houses or villages, there's all these stacks of wood. And here's a typical town that I cycled through. Church right on the edge of the road there, so not too sure what happened there. And here I am heading towards this next town, which is unbelievably different here. Now, the stork in Germany is unbelievably popular. So they're in this particular town, storks were everywhere. Look at these crazy little creatures. Everywhere you turned. And there's another one. And there's another one just outside the bank. And there's one with all the flowers. So very popular storks over in Germany. And this is what, again, typical German town with the fountain, the statue, the cobbled square. Here I am now heading for absolute luxury now in one of the German towns where I couldn't find campsite, couldn't find a bed and breakfast, but I could find an absolute luxury bed and breakfast. Cost a few bob, but boy was it worth it. Here's the hotel from the outside. Here's the town hall. And yes, it's back to the fountains and the statues and the cobbled square again. Typical architecture in the area. This is Ulm, which has got one of the highest steeples in the world. Well worth having a look at on the way through. And as you're cycling through, you never know what you're going to come across. So here's a crazy entrance to a garden centre. So garden centre, think of a giraffe with 5 heads. Absolutely. Of course, makes sense, doesn't it? And then we're cycling through another German town here with the pavement and the beautiful architecture of the shops along the way. Into the next campsite here. And I was doing very well with a lot of these campsites. I always seem to find some very good picturesque campsites. And there's another town as we crisscross across the Danube. Typical. Now this is how the Danube has changed. Just have a look at how the Danube has changed since we've seen it last. It's now opened up. It's such a huge width of the river. It's becoming now an industrial river with lots of commercial craft. Again, a typical German town with a clock tower in the centre. And oh, the Danube cycleway. And just have a look at that. Look at that track. There's 2 other cyclists ahead of me, and just on the open road, quiet, nothing happening, and just beautiful cycling. Here we go into the next German town, and again typical with regards to the clock tower and the architecture of the houses either side. Then it was a quick ferry into Passau. Now, this was like a little foot ferry. To find it, about €2 to get across. There was the only way to get across, by the way. So quite an interesting little journey. And arriving in Passau for the evening, an unbelievably historic town with a great big church, etc., and lots of these streets. Typical. So here I am. I've almost finished now. Almost finished in Germany. Now, camping over in Germany varied around about €12 a night if you're looking to set a budget. Now, this is the end of part 2, Cycling Europe with David Salmon. And what's coming up next is going to be Austria, Slovakia and Hungary. So for more great cycling, have a look at my other site at the cyclinggranddad.com and all my other tours. Thank you very much.